Dr. Tharoor, beginning with you, the interim government in Bangladesh is already in shape. There was a lot of speculation about the role of Jamaat and other political parties. I think we have a fair understanding of how the interim government looks like. As an Indian and someone who understands Bangladesh and its politics and diplomacy at the larger level, how do you look at the India-Bangladesh ties now?
Look, I start off with the premise that our fundamental interest lies in close and friendly relations with Bangladesh. Our basic commitment is to the well-being of the Bangladeshi people. The Bangladeshi state comes second, and any individual Bangladeshi leader comes third. That would be my starting point. We are with the people of Bangladesh. We were with them in 1971. We've been with them through thick and thin, even when they had governments in charge of their state who were less than friendly to us. We've managed to keep our relationship on an even keel, more or less, and certainly there should be no deterioration in that relationship in the time to come. The interim government, as far as I'm concerned, is not any cause for anxiety on India's part, in that Mr. Muhammad Yunus is a known commodity. I've certainly known him personally. Many other Indian leaders have come across him internationally in various capacities. He's a highly respected figure. And if anything, I suppose he is somewhat close to Washington rather than being seen as close to the Jamaat-e-Islami or the Pakistani ISI or any of those figures. In fact, if you look at the overall composition of this interim government, not all the figures are very well known here, but there doesn't seem to be any particular reason for India to feel any anxiety about countries hostile to us having put their stamp on this interim government. The big concern has always been whether Pakistan and China will fish in troubled waters. I know our government can't speak this kind of language, but as a member of the opposition, I can be frank with you. And in this kind of context, there is always a possibility that the Pakistani ISI could have had a hand in some of the outrageous incidents of violence that happened during the agitation. There's always a possibility that the Chinese, who have a strong presence in Bangladesh, might have seen this as an opportunity to expand their influence. Those are the kinds of things that people watching relations in the subcontinent are most concerned about. But certainly, there is no indication of anything in the composition of the interim government or the initial statements of Mr. Yunus that would give us any cause for worry. Mr. Yunus has talked about peace, calm, stability, protection of minorities. All of this should be music to our ears.
Dr. Tharoor, the fact is that Prime Minister Modi and former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina have had a personal understanding. Their equation actually ensured that the bilateral ties between the two countries really flourished. Do you see her presence in India as more of a matter of concern for us?
If we had not helped her, it would have been a disgrace for India. And nobody would have wanted to be our friend if we had treated our friend badly. No, I think Sheikh Hasina has had relationships with all Indian leaders, both of the present government and of the opposition. She is a friend of India's and India is a friend of hers. And when a friend is in trouble, you don't look twice before you help them come out of their trouble, bring them and keep them safe and so on. And that's exactly what India has done. I applaud the government for doing it. In fact, I would have wanted nothing less. As an Indian, I think that we have certain standards we must stand for in the world, and the government has done the right thing to bring her here and ensure her safety. For how long she wishes to remain, that's not for us. You don't call someone to your house and then ask them, when are you leaving? So my own view is we wait and see how long she would feel that she can stay before she moves on. And I think that there are practical considerations that will always come in the way of any moving to any other country. There are visa considerations and other issues that have to be borne in mind. For now, she is with us, and I think we should be proud of the fact that we have stood by a friend when her personal safety was in danger.
Okay, that's actually very beautifully put, Dr. Tharoor, that Sheikh Hasina is our friend and she's our guest. But talking about the attack on minorities, do you think that the government has to be more vehement in raising concerns around it?
No, look, I mean, there are conflicting reports coming out of Bangladesh. There certainly have been some attacks, and no one can deny that. No one should deny that. It's a fact. There are reports coming, and people have been killed. Facilities like the ISKCON temple have been vandalized. All of this is undoubtedly the case. At the same time, there is no doubt that there are also stories coming out of Bangladeshi Muslims guarding Hindu homes and temples and so on. So there's a bit of good news also during all the bad news. And Professor Yunus's statement that the government stands by the minorities and urges people to be calm and to stop the acts of violence, that's a very good sign. I think any continuing violence will be definitely instigated by those elements in Bangladeshi society who have traditionally been anti-Indian, anti-Hindu, and who frankly will do whatever it takes to create the kind of conditions of disorder that may give them an opportunity to come again and fish in troubled waters, as we were saying. But for now, I don't believe there's anyone in authority in Bangladesh who wants to see that situation continue. And with Professor Yunus's clear and unequivocal language, and of course, his ability to ask the military to start getting involved in reimposing law and order, we hopefully will get some peace. One challenge is, of course, the military made it clear to Sheikh Hasina that they will not fire on any protesters, and that presumably will apply even to the agitators and vandals. But they can presumably take steps, tear gas, water cannon, I don't know, the things you can always do to restore law and order, even if you don't want to shoot at people, which by and large is my view as well, that we should not have law and order forces shooting at civilians.
All right, Dr. Tharoor, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.